All right, hello everybody. We are back for our regularly scheduled programming here, doing it with just on Spreaker until we get all our issues settled out, and we are not, in the end, going to have to move sources, which is very good, although I did think we were for a long time. But we are very privileged to start things up today with two guests, Eli Brown and Zach Lifschutz, joining us today. And yeah, you don't have to get too into their political beliefs. Zach's, of course, been on many times. And Eli Brown, you'll find out about his political beliefs throughout the course of the show. So, we have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about today, including Daniel Prude, a black man who was having an apparent psychotic episode. He died in Rochester, I believe, in about a year ago, when police placed a mesh hood over his head and pinned him to the ground. And it now has been released that Rochester officers will not be charged in the killing. And now we're going to, after that fun story, we can also talk about today the events of the Capitol hearings, as the senators and some people even who helped incite the Capitol riots, like Josh Hawley, asking questions of the police officers who kind of let everybody in. So very, very pleased to have both of you here today. And I first just want to say, we can start, because I know we talked about it a little bit, me and Zach did, so I know Zach's familiar, but Eli, are you familiar with the Daniel Prude situation?
I think I saw it on Twitter like an hour ago. That's all I have. I didn't really, I just saw it trending on Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm familiar with the situation, and I have to say, it's definitely what's his name? Daniel's fault, because, that he's on PCP. He was pretending to have a gun by suffocating to death. So that's the police's fault, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I mean, not police's fault.
It's literally just, of course, for those of you who may not know who's being sarcastic there, just want to put that out there. But there has been, it really just an absolutely outrageous story. The brother called the police on his brother, Daniel Prude, because Daniel Prude was having a psychotic episode. The police showed, and he was naked in the streets, it was snowing out lightly, and he was just kind of completely defenseless. He was naked on the middle of the street. The police immediately rushed. And by the way, first of all, the police should not even be there. That's especially armed police with any kind of weaponry in the first place. But they were.
A gun or something? What the fuck is their problem?
This is a guy who's literally does not have you can't do that. He was gonna pull out a gun or a knife argument, because he was literally naked, and they have him handcuffed within the first 30 seconds of when they get there, and then he starts spitting, and instead of just I don't know, turning away, and they clearly don't care about getting COVID, because we've seen cops all over the country just refuse to wear masks when they're out in the kind of
True.
They've been asked about that, and they've been really criticized about that by BLM activists, and they were oh yeah, he's gonna catch us COVID-19, so they put a spit thing, a spit hood over him, and they ended up.
It's a spit guard.
They ended up
maybe spit hood, spit guard.
Well, it was a hood, because they ended up suffocating him, and that he was put in a state kind of a coma state for 2 days until he later died. So yeah, Eli, just what is your just general reaction to the story?
I mean, it's pretty expected from a police brutality standpoint. This has been happening forever. It's just more and more. It's horrible that it's happening, but it's not unexpected.
Yeah, and really, what kind of is the insane thing is you have Letitia James on Tuesday announcing that there's going to be no officers who are arrested with that would be arrested and face charges in connection with the death. A grand jury convened by James to investigate the case declined to charge any of the 7 officers, and James was this is ridiculous. She said that in the press conference, but again, the grand jury refusing to indict. And do you guys, either of you, do you guys have any insight to actually how this works? I don't know a lot about how they how are they
for the investigation?
Yeah, the grand jury. Is that
it
just
cut out?
Is that just normal people?
First of all,
do you want to know what a grand jury is?
Yeah, grand jury is normal people, right?
A grand jury is like a first of all, it's private, so there's no public access. It's there's no like set number of people, but it's basically a grand jury basically decides if the case goes to trial, like what the charges are, essentially. Like if there should be a
I don't know how this doesn't go to trial. It's literally, how is this any different from George Floyd except the fucking bag is doing all the work? Like, they fucking watched a dude die in front of them. What's the difference? I mean, besides the knee being on his neck, literally.
Yeah, like how does this process keep turning up this way? Because like these are just normal people here, right? Like they're getting picked up off the street.
yeah.
That's how a jury's okay. Well, there's obviously like the prosecutor and well, actually, I don't
There
know how
is
it works
no
in grand
defendant
juries.
in a grand jury. It's just a
Yeah, exactly. So there's not like the normal jury selection process. I don't know. I mean, it could just be like the general positive attitudes toward police, or like there's information that we don't understand or don't know. But also, it could be qualified immunity. Like, it might not be like a moral thing. They might have to decide based on like legality, like
there may
strictly
be some
legality.
like legal. There may be some like
Yeah.
ridiculously high legal standard that we don't know about. I honestly like, and the obviously since as Eli mentioned, it's so private. Like the process is very much kind of unknown to us in a big way, so that doesn't really hurt. It doesn't really help in terms of people understanding this. So James, the Attorney General, said she planned to meet immediately with Prude, the Prude family, as well as the family of a 9-year-old black girl. This is another crazy story. Same town. They ended up somehow taking a 9-year-old black girl who was handcuffed and pepper sprayed by the police, like shoved in the back of a car. I forget exactly the reason behind
What
that.
Why are you handcuffing a 9-year-old? What
still,
the
yeah,
frick?
it's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane, dude. It's not like you have a good explanation. But apparently, it was like for her own
This
safety.
town's getting sued.
They
bro.
literally released. I am not lying. I don't know why they actually did it, like why they were there in the first place. But I'm not lying. They released a statement that was like the 9-year-old girl was handcuffed and pepper sprayed. Quote, direct quote, for her own safety. Like that is the
that's
like,
a bold statement.
That is the kind
How
of
do you pepper spray somebody for their own safety?
like that is the kind of thing.
Well, I mean, you can handcuff somebody for their own safety, but pepper spray them? That seems. I mean, what is pepper spraying gonna do that handcuffing isn't? Besides, you put them in an extreme amount of discomfort.
Yeah, like this is like the kind of just boldness that you can only expect from like the American police to like the policing system. Like they are so confident because they know they're like never going to get
just the
regulated.
It's not just the American.
It's not just the
American.
Yeah,
America is uniquely bad though.
I'm sure the fucking Hong Kong police can just like kill anyone. So,
yeah,
like, what?
Hong Kong's like I'm thinking of like Europe and places like that. And
in France, you can be detained anytime for any reason.
Yeah, what? No. Well, there's not like the brutality, but I'd rather 100% have our system with just like flawed individuals and fucking. You can like get like arrested for just like leaving your house in France without a note. Like you really want to live in a place like that?
That's not like
that's not reformable.
Unrelated.
You can reform.
That's not about like the. That's not.
No,
about the
it's not. It's a civil
department.
liberties issue.
And the only reason why that is because of the freaking lockdown of the COVID happening. So we should point that out as well. We should point that out as well. Like it's pretty relevant because they wouldn't be doing that. They wouldn't be imposing that rule otherwise. Why would they impose a rule that it's like you can't leave your house? What benefit? Like maybe they would impose if they were so like evil and tyrannical. They'd be like impose a rule where you have to like do forced labor or like something like if they had that much power. Like what is the incentive? Like if we want to be that ridiculous, like that makes no sense. Why would they do that? If not for the broader protection of people.
Well, maybe now they are, but I wouldn't want them to have the power to. I just don't agree. I think that's a infringement on rights.
And there's less people dead because of that. There's less economic damage than here in the U.S. But
okay,
we still have our rights.
Where's the stats on that? I want to see the statistics on that.
All right,
there are countries.
I could pull it up. We definitely.
There are countries.
That's for sure. If we talk about COVID.
I can't say. This is sort of like. No, that's totally
Well, yeah, that's in France. It's like generally always bad, but like people are like well taken care of economically. They're taking less economic hit. Like, less. There's not an eviction crisis. There's not people lining up for like food banks in the same way. Like in any other country, like developed.
Do you know that?
I mean, show me an article.
How do you know there's not a housing crisis?
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yeah, look up whatever you want. It's fine. I'm pretty sure there's like, to the scale of what's happening in the United States, like there is no like comparison in like the developed world, and we're the richest country in the world.
You really want the fuck? Okay,
kind of cut out there.
The problem with our government, hold on. There's like a giant anti-mask culture. You think the government fucking locking people in their houses,
that's encouraged by the like,
is not what's preventing it. It's a culture thing.
Half of this country,
if we didn't have dipshit public officials,
no restrictions.
Yeah, no shit. That's not going to be helpful by locking people in their houses. Or, I mean, it would, but like that's the same argument of saying, there'd be zero crime if we just locked everybody in a jail. Like, you don't need to take that step.
No, well,
there are
ridiculous.
ways to not infringe on civil liberties.
That's insane.
No, it's not. There's ways to prevent things without infringing on civil liberties. Okay, why don't you?
If you let people,
okay, why can't the government
argue about
just let the government fucking place a mic on everybody's shirt and fucking listen to everything that we're saying? There'll be no crime because we can just fucking arrest people.
You are just
that
not
do shit instantly.
You are just not acknowledging. Normally, I would be with you, but like you are just not acknowledging the fact that there is coronavirus going on. And I guess you can make it. There's a reasonable case you can make to say that the penalties were too harsh. Yeah,
I don't think
it's something that's killing people every day. It's killing people every day.
I don't agree.
It's not hard to figure out.
I don't agree with the framing. I do not agree with the framing that locking people in their houses. I don't agree with.
Oh, we keep cutting out.
Helpful any more than just
Zach. You keep cutting out.
Mask burn. I know.
Yeah, you keep cutting out. But I have to agree.
I'll rejoin in a second.
The data on lockdowns is very minimal that they have a great effect than otherwise just wearing your mask and staying apart from other people.
I think they do. I think if you look at what's, especially in like the countries where you see them, they went into lockdown originally in March. They went out of lockdown like early in the summer when they started getting cases down, and then it went up, and then they went back to in January again, and they went back into like second and third lockdowns, and the cases still went down. Like staying away from each other is like part of the lockdown, but also a key thing is there, like you have to have like support. Like you got to support the people who are going into the lockdown with like from the
if we just look at the US, like a California versus Florida or a North Dakota versus South Dakota, one state with a lockdown and one without, their cases are pretty similar and their deaths are pretty similar.
That's actually negative true. Literally, like didn't like 1 in fucking 3 people in North Dakota like have a family member die from COVID?
Yeah, they were dropping.
The numbers are not
close to herd immunity.
All.
They're getting close to like herd immunity. Like
maybe
60%.
North Dakota's an outlier, but I don't know if that narrative is true. Okay, wait. I'm looking at. There's literally
New York Times like
there's statistics for it.
Yeah, honestly, it would be interesting to see the reasoning.
Highest recorded cases per 100,000. This is insane. Actually, I don't know what the hell is going on in Iowa, but I mean, I'll share my screen with you guys. Obviously, the viewers won't be able to see, but literally, like this entire map is just like a dark blue Iowa. So they're clearly doing something wrong. Fucking North Texas and the Panhandle are doing horribly. California, it's not, the areas that are most affected are not even Southern California. They're literally like borderline Nevada. So like your narrative doesn't hold up. Look at New York. Okay, New York City is sort of an exception.
Yeah, but LA was egregious for a long time. Look at this.
South Carolina, South Virginia, not South. Yeah. Well, South Carolina, North Carolina, like the poorer parts of Virginia, Alabama, Mississippi, like the countries that the counties that are doing the worst proportionally are not lockdown states, besides New York, pretty much.
Yeah, and
also it's totally different because you can't compare New York City to, like, if you go to North Dakota, like not North Dakota, because that's like the city parts of North Dakota are bad, but if you just go to like random parts of Wyoming, like there's literally 16 times as many people in New York City as there is all of Wyoming. Like this is a situation where neighbors live like multiple miles apart from each other. So literally, like if you didn't even own a mask and you just interacted with people outside, it would be totally different. And yet still they're doing worse. Seriously, what is going on in Iowa? Why is this so bad?
I think that I'm on the New York Times, and that's not the same thing.
What map are you looking at?
Yeah,
the New York.
This is from the CDC.
For the worst,
reported
it says
case per 100,000 population by county.
That's total cases. Total cases is not a good statistic for this.
What do you want? Deaths?
Either
rate.
like
Death
deaths
rate.
per capita or
this is per capita.
Okay,
I know,
for
okay.
100,000.
That's total. We have to look at like the daily changes to see what's happening.
All right, so COVID-19 death rate by state, February 23rd, is per 258 per 100,000 people is New Jersey. And then New York, then Rhode Island, then Massachusetts, then Mississippi, then Arizona, South Dakota, Louisiana, Alabama, North Dakota, Pennsylvania, Indiana, and it just kind of goes from there. So that's like COVID death rates by state. Yeah, so.
What are you guys looking at? Send it to me.
I'm looking at this Becker Hospital Review website. I just looked up like COVID death rates. I'll just put that in the chat there. But I mean, it is like, yeah, it is really kind of an insane situation there. And they're just completely back in the channel. All right.
Oh, I don't hear anything.
Wait, did you see that? What I sent, Zach?
Oh yeah, I see.
But yeah, we kind of strayed away from the original situation there. But just to give you a little bit more about that before we move on, in an unusual move, the Monroe County Court Judge Karen Bailey Turner on Tuesday evening granted the Attorney General's request to release minutes related to the grand jury investigation, records that are usually protected under seal. So the Federal Justice Department also said it would review the case, raising possibility that it could open a civil rights investigation into the officers who restrained Mr. Prude, something it has done in other high-profile killings of black people in police custody. And like, if this is not like a completely open and shut case, then like I do not know what is. In terms of like,
clearly it's not. Well, it's tough because like we don't know all the information, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I honestly don't understand because it's not a qualified immunity thing, is it? Like,
I mean, maybe
if it's brought to a grand jury,
or just corruption.
Yeah. Well, to grand jury, how is that? What are you saying? The entire jury system is corrupt?
No, you have to look who the prosecutor is, because the prosecutor can make a
Oh, that's right.
Or the prosecutor can, instead of going for like the murder charge, they can go for like another lower charge. Like in the Breonna Taylor, instead of going for like the murder, they did like, oh, there were shots fired through like a wall. Wouldn't could have like injured other people, like that charge, like a reckless charge instead of a murder.
If you're a prosecutor, wouldn't it be? Oh, am I still sharing my screen? Wouldn't it be easier to bring a weaker charge to the grand jury, weaker charge, because then it would be easier to convict? Why would the higher, like,
that's why they go for the weaker charges?
No, but you just said it's corruption. So you think they went to them with like first degree murder, and they were just
for the Breonna Taylor case. There's loads of evidence.
No, not Breonna. I'm talking in this one, in Daniel.
I don't really know about this case, but I'm sure.
No, I'm saying in a case of corruption, I thought you were saying they would go with a weaker charge when it would seem to make more sense that they would, if a prosecutor was corrupt and trying to protect the cop, they would go for a higher charge.
Or if they know the cop's guilty, they might just go for a weaker charge so they don't get punished as severely.
Yeah, but they didn't. If it was a weaker charge, then wouldn't they have agreed to try it?
Not necessarily, because you can also make a weak case. Like,
I guess so.
Yeah, like it really is kind of insane how tight the prosecutors and the cops can be, and sometimes. And also, there's a pretty good chance like the laws on this aren't like exactly up to date either, so that could be a factor as well. Yeah, so apparently, of course, at the same time, Rochester braced for the possibility of protest over the grand jury decision. As word spread that an announcement in the case was imminent, concrete barriers were placed around the city's public safety building. By Tuesday evening, the crowd had begun to gather on the street near Jefferson Terrace Park, west of Rochester. So, yeah, it's very, very possible that we could just see like summers like last summer in terms of protests. That I don't know, just like if there's enough. Just like in terms of just how
for this one dude, there was not.
Oh no, it wouldn't be just this one.
The only time, like even the Breonna Taylor thing, which is like during the entire thing, when the grand jury ruled that they weren't convicting, that was like a like half the size or whatever. So there's no way this is gonna spark anything that large.
Yeah, but I mean. Yeah, the only reason I thought that was because like people would just be continuously mad about just things in general.
People don't even care anymore, it seems like. Or, well, they do, but they just talk about it, and there's no protest being organized.
Yeah, because it's just like, once they kind of started taking down like Ulysses S. Grant statues, and they kind of, I think the realization started coming in that
so
they just,
dumb.
Like, couldn't do anything substantive, which kind of sucks, but like, it's the world we
well, you can, unless you start taking down. I don't know why they would do that. It's such a horrible idea.
Because like, what else? You can't really do anything else.
Well, then take down Ulysses. Why would you take down Ulysses S. Grant statues? He literally fought for the abolition of slavery. Really that's so dumb. Or like, are you an idiot?
Yeah, and personally, in my opinion, it is pretty dumb. But yeah, it's
Ulysses S. Grant like hated slavery. Why would you what did he even do wrong? I don't understand.
He I may be wrong, but I think he did own slaves for like a little bit of his life, and then was like, that's actually dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I think like very few powerful, like not even Abraham Lincoln was like 100% on slavery until like when it counted.
He only made the war about slavery to keep Europe out of it. That was his main. That was one of the larger reasons.
Yeah, and also wasn't it like help get like freed black slaves to come fight for the Union?
Actually, at first they didn't allow black people to fight, so that was not the main reason. But Frederick Douglass did push for that, and that did end up happening.
Yeah. I remember that being a big thing when I was learning about it in school. But yeah, very, very sad situation about Daniel Prude. Just like there's even body cam footage about it, like that shows how bad, like and how quickly and how like little of a threat that he actually was, because he was like in the car, and apparently they were joking about it too. I think they like cracked some remarks. It would be really very, very depressing situation. So, but it's good to see someone like Letitia James being the AG and coming out and saying that, this just makes no sense.
You know, Woodrow Wilson was born into a household that had slaves. Isn't that crazy?
In what year? Like, what year was he president at? Like, that was like 1910.
He was president in he was president in like in 19...
Like World War I.
1918.
He was like the League of Nations guy. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty much good enough now for us to switch gears to our next story about the Capitol security here. what is going on with that, because pretty much the former three top security officials deflected responsibility of Senate hearing on Tuesday for security failures that contributed to the January 6th riot, blaming other agencies, each other, and at one point even a subordinate for the breakdown that led hundreds of Trump supporters to storm into the Capitol. So did either of you see any of these hearings at all today?
I heard a little bit about them.
I did not.
I
did not watch. I only heard.
Yeah, we just play the some clips from the hearing today, and you guys unfortunately will not be able to hear them, but I can pretty much summarize the relevant parts later when this is done.
I think it's important to note that we planned the entire hearing on a bipartisan basis. That's because the stakes are so high, and we want this, and I say this to our witnesses as well, we want this to be as constructive as possible, because in order to figure out the solutions so this doesn't happen again, we must have the facts.
On January 6th, we anticipated an event similar to the Million MAGA March that took place on November 14th,
the U.S. Capitol Police,
where we would likely face groups fighting among one another. I proceeded to the rotunda where I noticed a heavy smoke-like residue and smelled what I believed to be military-grade CS gas, a familiar smell. It was mixed with fire extinguisher spray deployed by rioters. The rioters continued to deploy CS into the rotunda. Officers received a lot of gas exposure, which is worse inside the building than outside because there's nowhere for it to go. I received chemical burns to my face that still have not healed to this day.
The events I witnessed on January 6th was the worst attack on law enforcement and our democracy that I've seen in my entire
Former Capitol
career.
Chief
I witnessed
Police
insurgents
Stephen's
beating
son.
police officers with fists, pipes, sticks, bats, metal barricades, and flagpoles. These criminals came prepared for war. They came with their own radio system to coordinate the attack. Based on the intelligence that we received, we planned for an increased level of violence at the Capitol and that some participants may be armed. But none of the intelligence we received predicted what actually occurred.
They literally, funnily, they're just cut to a picture of Ted Cruz on his phone texting while the guy was speaking in the video clip. But for the first few, we had this police officer being like, yeah, we got a lot of, there was just smoke gas all over the place in the building. She was a Capitol Police officer. And then we had Stephen's son, who's the former police chief, being like, yeah, this was we received some intelligence, but we did not expect it to be this severe. So, honestly, I think this is the biggest thing that we have to, recognize, the absolute failure of security that probably, if security just been anywhere close to what it should be, this would have been stopped.
Agreed.
Capitol
Riot.
Do you worry about, new laws coming in?
I don't. You do. What?
Some laws just restricting freedom, because that's what's going to happen after this, some NSA Patriot Act type stuff.
We already have the Patriot Act. What? It can't get any worse.
Oh, it can get worse.
Cut to fucking 6 months later, Bob.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you seen China? Do you want to live there? I mean, I'm not saying it's going to get there.
The only thing I could think of is no. I mean, the only thing I could think, what would they even do? Restrict social media?
Here's the funny thing.
The 230, Section 230 or whatever is the only thing I could even think of that they would do.
No.
I don't think no. Take 230. I don't think.
What was that, Eli? You kind of cut out there.
Hello?
Yeah, I think we may have just...
I think we lost him.
Yeah.
I thought it was me, but no one else was making noise.
Yeah, the connection is not
South
good.
Florida men arrested by the FBI.
All right, so yeah, this
charges
is...
tied.
I'm getting 3 bars.
Yeah, the connection here is not good, but this is
anyway,
Zach, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. So this is a story here from South Florida, NBC6. A South Florida man who discussed being investigated by the FBI and social media is now the third local man to face charges for. No, this is not even what I was talking about. I clicked on the wrong article. It was something to do with there's just people in Florida. but he said that there's this kind of like left-wing guy that they arrested, I think in Tallahassee, that he like went to the Chaz protests, and he was just posting like that he was on a path to radicalization, and they arrested him.
It's literally like there's nothing to do. Like, people just don't care. Americans are fucking dumb.
About
Nobody
what?
cares. Like, they don't care about the NSA.
I don't think like if you
literally like.
Well, I don't think they approve of it.
Hello.
Yeah, we
Oh
just
my
keep
God.
going out. This is
You
not
say
good.
that, and then 5 seconds later, you're like, oh, did you know? But we do it to Muslims, and they're you just sold them. They're right on board.
Yeah. You really
They
do
don't
keep cutting out.
care.
This is just absolutely awful. But you really
I heard
keep cutting out. Can pick.
Yeah, so this was the story that I was talking about before. So in Florida, apparently this hardcore leftist guy who was in the process of justice around a wave of political unrest last month, including a violent crowd that formed in Olympia and the storming of the Capitol in Washington, D.C., has netted another individual with a connection to our Capitol Hill. This is in reference to Seattle. Florida man Daniel Baker has been charged with transmitting an interstate communication containing threat to kidnap any person or threat to injure the person of another after he issued a call to arms for like-minded individuals. He fought for the Kurdish army, and
Whoa.
apparently...
I thought the pubs like the Kurds. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, I thought.
No, it was like the communist faction of the Kurds.
Oh,
that a lot of people fighting for. But yeah, so apparently he was homeless or something like that at one point, and that drove him to the left, and he was just tweeting about this stuff, and literally tweets at this point could literally get you arrested. So that is good to know.
Okay, that is not. First of all, I hate surveillance, but that's fucking idiotic. That is the dumbest thing. What do you tweets getting you arrested? No, what? It's not private information. Fucking shouting in the street can get you arrested too.
Yeah,
Wait,
but
what?
But you're, I don't know.
What was he arrested for? Well, it depends on what he said, but I mean, if you're in the street saying, "I'm gonna kill the president of the United States,"
yeah, but
don't get surprised if you get arrested.
You shouldn't be arrested because if you're not actually gonna kill the president of the United States, if you're saying that when you're drunk at a bar, you should be arrested for that.
Well, obviously it's contextual. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you have to be. If you're standing outside of the president's speech with a gun, then saying that, then you should be arrested. But not.
Well, what did he tweet?
I don't quite know.
I mean, I don't agree with the situation. I don't agree. I don't know why he got arrested or whatever, but I'm sure I don't agree with why he got arrested. But using Twitter as an example of the spy state is so dumb. That's
no, it's they're just
I mean, that's an example.
Media
that's an example of just overbearing government, but it's not a surveillance thing.
No, the veil, the threshold for arresting is not anymore.
Well, it's definitely
just getting
different
lower
for the
and lower
FBI.
Now, instead of just entrapping, as you said before, instead of entrapping Muslim people with 70 IQs to say they want to kill, blow up the World Trade Center again or something like that.
Whoa, do you say Muslim people have a 70 IQ?
No, literally, that's what the FBI, they were doing. They were going around and finding mentally disabled Muslim people to get them to admit to wanting to do a terrorist attack of some kind. And then they would arrest them and just be a great victory for the United States and freedom has been claimed.
That's the dumbest shit ever. They really do that?
Yes.
It's pathetic.
And that was in the heyday.
The heyday of the FBI?
No, the heyday of the FBI was the Red Scare, I think. And surveilling
That's the
MLK.
CIA.
And surveilling MLK.
The FBI was
they probably enforced all those blacklists in the country and shit.
What blacklists?
Like
for
the
what?
McCarthy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
But we do have also another major cultural event going on, and that is, of course, in the wake of the GameStop situation.
Yeah, we got a paper hands
the founder
right here with us.
First, Eli, just tell us a little bit about your experience on GameStop in general.
Basically, I won the lottery.
So how did that go for you?
Well, I was in before everybody else. I rode the wave. I sold on the way down.
How much did you do you mind saying how much you're able to?
I don't think I should be sharing any numbers, but I'll just say
he's gonna get murdered if he does.
That's true.
I could pay for multiple people's college education.
Yeah, like it's.
You just said you shouldn't be saying any number. You did say numbers.
That's a very broad number, but you get the idea.
That is literally the opposite of broad. Well, I mean, depends on where you go to college.
Like it could be 100 people's college educations. Who knows? Maybe he did make that. Maybe he made 50 people's college educations.
Probably not
at a state school.
Maybe like Mass Bay Community College. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And could you fill us in on what is happening at this moment?
At this moment, last week there was a congressional hearing about the shenanigans that went down. Most of the questions were directed
shenanigans.
I like that word. Most of the questions were directed at Vlad, who is the CEO of Robinhood, and Robinhood got itself into hot water because they restricted the buying of certain stocks.
Say securities, it makes you sound
security.
But it confuses people though.
They restricted the buying of stocks on January 28th through the first week of February, which kind of killed momentum and sent these stocks crashing down, and a lot of people ended up losing money. People lose money on every trade, but more retail investors were thrown under the bus because of this decision.
Yeah, like that. I would definitely say like that. That like pretty much hastened the decline of the stock, right, from where it was.
If you stop people from buying it, the market forces don't work.
Yeah, like how much of a factor was that in the plummet that we saw?
It's like 100%.
100. As soon as they restricted buying, it fell from it was in the high 400s. It fell all the way down to I believe 112, and then it bounced back up from there the next day.
I mean, that's like saying like, what is the government reporting on prices affect inflation? Like that's what it is. It's literally that.
Now they're down to 40. They've lost like 400.
You only know the price if people buy it and sell it. So, and if you can't buy, you can only sell it, which is going to push down the price.
And can I explain a little bit more?
Yeah,
and
please.
There's this thing that Robinhood uses to pay for itself to make money. Instead of charging commissions, they have something called payment for order flow. So when I swipe up to buy, let's say, GameStop, 100 shares of GameStop, they sell that information to their biggest customer is Citadel, and then Citadel actually executes that trade. So which
is a hedge fund,
and then give it to me. That's how it works, and they get Citadel gets to make a little bit of money because of high frequency trading. They basically sell and buy a bunch. It doesn't really matter, and Robinhood gets paid, and I get a slightly better deal. But the thing is, where the corruption is, Citadel invested in a hedge fund called Melvin Capital, who had a major short position in GameStop and was losing billions of dollars. So it seems like they bailed out Melvin Capital, then told Robinhood to restrict buying. This is not. Robinhood gets 40% of their revenue from Citadel. It's possible Citadel could have strong-armed Robinhood to stop buying to protect their investment.
Totally.
And that is, it looks a little bit more like that could be true. There was a letter, that Robinhood, well, in general, for people that don't know, the DTCC is a clearinghouse. they make sure all the trades work fine, and so they raised I think I lagged out there for a second. They raised requirements at 5 a.m., but then removed them at 9 a.m. before market open. But Robinhood kept the trading restrictions on. So it seems like there's a little bit of corruption.
And someone, of course, the Citadel connection just being like so glaringly obvious. And of course, the CEO there is my main man, Vlad Tenev. And he was at the congressional hearings, and he was
at Robinhood.
CEO of Robinhood.
Yeah.
And he's been in a lot of different interviews. And what has been the excuse? Like, how do you guys think? Eli, you can answer this as well. Like, how do you think he's been holding up in these interviews in terms of defending his actions?
I mean, I think he's done well. I mean, I don't agree with what he's saying, but
I didn't hear the question.
They were talking. He said, "How do you think Vlad has defended himself?" Well, okay, there's two different answers to that question, which is like, as a consumer, like, how do you think his apology or explanation for what he did is justified? And then, like, just from a pragmatic standpoint, like, is he saying like the necessary things to protect himself in this business? And I think he is.
Yeah, he definitely is. But like, does the explanation?
I think he's saying like all the right things, like to the media or whatever. But like, I think his explanation is dog shit and like a complete lie. But I don't expect him to do anything else. So he's not like messing up in that regard. Like he's doing what he's gonna do. Yeah.
But like, why is that explanation so bad though?
Well, he's just lying. I mean, it's not clear he's lying. There is a real possibility where like what he's saying is the truth, but it's a convenient answer. I mean, Eli can elaborate.
His defense is a little shaky. So on the day of when they were circuit trading, there was no word.
Keep lying.
Did I lag out? So basically, day of January 28th, nobody really knew what was happening. There was no message from Robinhood. But as the days passed, they garnered up the excuse that they needed to post $3 billion in collateral, or like did you get the last part about $3 billion?
Nope.
He was lying at like the clearinghouse had a capital requirement.
The clearinghouse gave Robinhood a capital requirement of $3 billion that they had to post the day of, but we learned that requirement was removed before market open, so there was no reason to
sketch.
So did they just try and do it, and then the requirement was taken away from them before they had already raised the requirement before it was taken away?
My understanding is that they basically they hit them with the collateral charge and then took it away before market open. So they didn't pay it.
What is 100% clear is that Robinhood did not like what was happening, and they did everything in their power to try to prevent it. Like, whether or not you believe what they're saying about the clearinghouse, you can't, like, they closed people's positions out that were on margin. Like, there's no, that is just that. Like, there's no defense of that.
They didn't have to do that, right? Like, to protect
well, no,
themselves.
I mean, it's within their right as, like,
yeah, but like they didn't
dealer or whatever, but
they didn't have to do it though.
No, they don't have to, but they're within their right to do that. That's not illegal.
Yeah,
but it's clearly showing their motivation.
Yeah, and yeah, that kind of makes it hard because it's the fine print, and I heard a good saying with this: when something's free, when you use something for free,
you're the customer.
No, you're the product. You're not the customer. You're the
product.
Oh,
I'm not a customer. Yeah, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, like that is very, very true. And all these cases with like Facebook and like Twitter and.
Well, anyone who thinks, I mean, you're just an idiot. Like if you think Robinhood is obviously making money off you. Like I don't think. I mean, if you're trading stock, you shouldn't be so not ambivalent. I don't know. Clueless. What is the word I'm thinking? Yeah, just clueless. Or oh my god.
And also,
I can't think of the word, but
with Robinhood's defense is that they claimed they had no liquidity issues, but if they needed to raise $3 billion in capital, that kind of seems like they were having liquidity issues.
Okay, who gave them money again?
It's like Sequoia Capital, like some venture.
They raised like $1 billion
firms.
during the whole thing, if I remember correctly.
They raised $3.4 billion through credit selling stock. Which, by the way, it isn't a public company yet, so we weren't allowed to buy that. But Robin, I believe,
everything's fine, but like we need to raise all this capital randomly during this thing.
What?
No, I'm like Robinhood. I'm saying, like they're saying everything's fine, and then they're just randomly raising $3 billion during like the most stressful time.
Well, no, it wasn't random. They claimed they needed to raise it to pay off the collateral, which they ended up not needing to do.
Sus.
So they didn't really need to put in all those restrictions.
Basically, that is from the letter from the DTCC. That's what it looks like.
All right, yeah, and then you can. You know what? Actually, we could like wire this in right now. Like, is it still going on right now? This interview, because he's pretty much what's happened now is like Vlad is going on Dave Portnoy's Barstool Sports or something like that.
Oh boy, do we want to get DMCA'd again?
I have it on my computer.
This isn't a public hearing.
Well,
I doubt we're gonna get over that.
So it's pretty.
But it's gonna be everywhere. It's on the internet.
Oh, it ended 7 minutes ago.
I'm so surprised he went on the podcast. Like, what does he have to gain from that?
He probably is like that's one of those people who just thinks like, oh yeah, I can get away with it. It doesn't matter.
I wonder if they're actually going to face real customer consequences. I mean, Eli, you were a Robinhood user. Are you staying with them?
For the time being, I kind of have to stay with them before my accounts get approved, but I'm planning on leaving. Unless they're giving me some like reparations or something.
I mean, wait, how long? Some reparations? And you're not moving to Fidelity? Huh?
Fidelity is slow.
Yeah, I highly doubt
because they're a real broker.
Yeah,
they're not a fucking mobile app disguised as a brokerage. Oh, the green means good. Buy options.
I can't believe they let me trade options. That was the most.
You got to democratize it, baby. Democratize finance.
The stock market is democratized. What is it? What does that even mean?
I mean, the stock market is like democratized in the same way like America's.
No,
democratized.
How is it any easier to open? There was always E-Trade. E-Trade existed.
There were commissions. There were account minimums.
So yeah, so you don't get your data stolen. What do you mean? You just need a social security number. And there's what do you mean? There's minimums for like most bank accounts too.
Made it easy to trade. Like most people don't understand the language that Wall Street uses, and they.
Okay, that's totally different though. That's not good. What Robinhood's doing is not good. They're not making it easier to trade. They're just like. People don't understand. I'm willing to bet you like there's probably been more people who've lost money because they don't understand options properly through Robinhood than there's been like 5 years on all the other trading platforms combined.
But there's to buy the option.
What?
It's their decision to buy the options.
My God. Are you fucking ANCAP? Jesus Christ. They're literally manipulating people.
Stupid to do this. That's not how that works.
Okay. You're like okay. You're like one of the people who like looks at like the children who are like fucking addicted to like the Smurfs game, and then they spend like $1,000 on their parents' credit card, and they're like, oh, they're just dumb kids. Like, you don't think there's any responsibility?
That's not what I'm arguing whatsoever.
How? What are you
arguing that the government should not be regulating how people spend their money, especially on the market?
When did I say the government should be regulating?
You just said that it was stupid for that people could buy options with Robinhood.
I'm saying that's the No, I'm not saying it's stupid. I don't agree with that. That's not what I meant. I didn't mean it's stupid. My point was like you were like, oh, it was easy to trade. It's the ease of trading is no different. It's just like you need basic financial literacy to trade on the other ones, which is just true for Robinhood too. You can just like you need financial literacy to not lose money.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay, but I think it's better that the other ones actually forced you to have financial literacy before like wasting your money.
Get approved for options. That's not like the problem. It's just that Robinhood made it look so much prettier and like easier for like the average Joe like me to learn and understand. Like I learned options trading in like 2 months with help from like YouTube videos and like how I could visualize it.
Do you really think Robinhood makes it easier to understand, or you think it just makes it simpler?
Oh,
or not even simpler. They're not making it simpler. They're just using.
Let's look at an option trade on Fidelity, and let's look at an option chain on Robinhood, and let's see the difference.
Okay, you need to. I'm just saying you should have more of an understanding of options than call means I think go up, put means I think it go down, which I'm not exaggerating. If you go in the Robinhood app, it literally says buy this if you think it's going up, buy this if you think it's going down. That's not hyperbole. It literally word for word says that.
Yeah, like honestly, that is a great way to have people like just get ripped off like they are now.
It's not like Robinhood's making money off of it. I mean, they're making a little bit of money.
What do you mean? They're fucking brokerage.
The truth is more people should not be in the stock market. There should be less people in the stock market.
They make money from every trade that happens on the platform. They're literally what?
I'm not even sure they make that much money from options because options have to. There's no payment for order flow for options.
Okay, there's a business. They are a business, so they're either making money or it's neutral.
No, I'm saying that options is not their largest driver of that.
First Who cares?
None of their users use options, and second of all, there's no payment for order flow for options. All options trades have to go through Oprah. I think that's the acronym. It's like the options exchange. So
okay, but they still are making money. What? Who cares? It doesn't matter. That's not their biggest business, or it's not the most profitable. They're still making money.
They're not making money off of people losing money. They make money whether people make money or lose money. That's my point. Okay, I hate to bring up fucking Matthew McConaughey in The Wolf of Wall Street, but he's literally right in his speech. They make money, like the brokers make money when people buy and sell whatever. So why they are, I don't want to say incentivized to have people lose money or whatever, because obviously you fucking throw 10 grand in the stock market and then you lose it all, you're going to be disincentivized to continue fucking buying and selling. But like they do benefit from, like, I guess manipulating is kind of a stretch, but oversimplifying it. Yeah, okay. But I don't think oversimplification is necessarily like a problem.
Okay, no, hold on.
Since we are out of time here, I am going to oversimplify it to close it off. The truth is, more Americans should be like not associated with the stock market because it's a bad way.
That's a horrible. Literally, that's a horrible take. More American. The stock market is great. People should be putting their money in ETFs if they have money saved up. What do you mean?
No, you should have a substantial job where you don't need to put any kind of money in the stock market.
That doesn't make any sense. That's literally it doesn't make any sense. If you have a substantial job, you should be putting money in the stock market. What do you mean? Oh, you're so rich you don't put money in the stock market? That has like negative correlation.
If you are an everyday person, like if you're not in the financial industry, you should make
everyday people have money in the stock market. What do you think a freaking IRA is, genius?
What do you think?
Very few people, very, 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 very few people have.
Options are stored in the stock
very
market.
Small percentage of people are invested in the stock market.
That is such a lie. That's such a lie. Oh my god.
Oh my god, he's losing it.
They're not. Holy shit. There's a difference between actively day trading and having money. You know, like most Americans have money in the stock market, dude.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. If you were like loosely associated, like I'm not saying like pull out of your like 401k or like your pension fund or whatever, but like yeah, like it's better to like not. It's better to not.
It's not better. It's not true.
But it's not up to you to decide how people spend their money.
I'm saying it's my opinion. I'm not saying
everybody is saying okay.
It's my advice. It's my take.
Wealth management is such a big. Okay, in the Black community, right? Like holding on to wealth, like intergenerational wealth, is a huge problem that they have. And then you can't say that's a problem and then say don't put your money in the stock market. What do you mean?
Or how about you like increase Black access to education? Like
what does that even mean?
Like help are you like aware of the gender and like racial
Of course,
class gap
but
in like American
every
institutions
single
and how that resonates, make it easier for Black people to buy homes. Like buying a home,
You know
especially,
what? You know what
it's been
makes it
so
easier to
hard
buy
for
your
African Americans to
house?
buy a house
Saving.
recently. But no, it's because they're literally being, because of their like race for a long time, are getting like pushed out of home opportunities, and they're getting sold all the shittiest mortgage. And it's not necessarily just because they don't have enough money all the time. But again, if you're putting in a way like you can like grow your money like in a relatively risk free way, because it's of course never risk free.
Really?
Like
okay,
that's fine. That's
you know
fine.
how you grow your money in a risk free way? There's like 3 options: you buy a treasury bond, you buy a CD, or you just get a savings account. Interest. What do you mean?
Yeah, there's ways to do it that are like very, very low on risk, and I say that's not a bad thing, but like
you barely grow. Okay, first of all,
money in a savings account, that's like literally
nothing.
Money because inflation.
That is inflation. You're just making sure your money doesn't lose value.
Yeah, I never said that was bad. I'm saying that's good.
You're not going to be able to retire on your fucking T-bond coupon payments. That's a fact.
Like, and I'm not saying you limit it at that either. Like I'm saying you put it on like, if you do it in a risk. I'm saying like gambling in the stock market, especially if you don't know what you're talking about, is bad.
That is okay. Yeah, nobody is saying you should be gambling. First of all, the stock market is not gambling unless you're just like an idiot and you just
for
like
a lot of people it is. For a lot of people it is.
Who? For most people it's not.
For the fact that we're not associated in a massive hedge, like I don't do anything in the stock market.
They're the only ones that can participate.
Literally,
they have massive advantages over everyday people.
Oh my god, there's institutional investors and retail investors. Most retail investors are not gambling. Like a lot of them do actual research, and then obviously that you wouldn't say the institutional investors are gambling because that's literally their job and they have all the information in the world.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying. On average, like it's like it's just not something that I would go into. That's like I think it's
that's horrible advice. Okay, there's a difference between saying the stock market, don't put your money in the stock market, and don't fucking blow $1,000 on options on some random fucking weed growing company like Sundial or whatever.
Yeah,
those are completely different things.
That is true.
I acknowledge that.
You saying don't get involved in the stock market. If you are implying the GameStop YOLO style of investing, then yeah, dude, I 100% agree with that advice. But just saying that like such a blanket statement is also like just bad advice. You should be investing in an IRA and a 401k, investing in your retirement. A lot of the people grow their money in ETFs, and like that is how a lot of money grows.
Yeah, again, if you're, I really feel like the blanket should be drawn, like the blanket should be somewhere. But honestly, like I'm gonna be honest, I don't have enough. Like I'm also not entirely sure where that blanket should like stop. Just
you could say like people investing in the stock market. Like if you work for like I don't even know, like some union or whatever, or like some pension fund, your money is being invested by institutions. So that's not gambling.
Yeah, that's better. I'm not saying if you
literally like a bunch of hedge funds manage pension funds. So like that is the opposite of gambling.
Yeah, and I think that's a much more secure, like more sensible way to do it. But if you're going especially like if you're one person just going in the stock market without like a lot of resources, like the odds aren't like a lot of times against you. I'm not saying it's the same as you walk into a casino. The odds are that way. But like it's not something I personally would want to take up. And Americans shouldn't feel like they have to. If they want to do it, they can, but they shouldn't feel like they have to.
It's about diversifying. And this is not just for like super rich people, whatever. Like I know that the middle class is shrinking, but
mostly it is. Mostly like in practice it is.
Okay, the middle class is shrinking, but for the most part, people still have 401ks. Like people say gig economy, whatever.
That's going down.
Most workers are not gig workers. People still have real jobs, with 401ks and IRAs and health insurance through an employer. Like that is still let's take ourselves out of the stock
market. Of course, it's tied in the stock market. Like that's more institutional.
Yes, no, but. It's still investing in the stock market. You can't make people afraid of the stock market because their money will not grow. Literally, people will literally be
on an individual basis. People should be skeptical of the stock market.
What does that even mean? institutions should be skeptical of the stock market. Like, the stock market is not a thing. Stock market is just made up of a bunch of individual different companies with different values. That doesn't make any sense.
It's a market where people exchange pieces of companies.
It's not.
I know. Like what?
It's not like a single. It's not like the market is made up of a million different freaking commodities and shit. It's not like you should be skeptical of gold or whatever. You're basically saying like be skeptical of like the economy.
No, I'm saying like in terms of if you want to go on an individual basis, like all I'm saying is like it's not something you should feel like you should have to do in like today's economy. Because chances are, like, you're going to have it a lot safer if it's done by an outside. If it's going to be a lot safer if it's done by an outside group, like if like,
you're
health insurance or an IRA or something like that.
Okay, hold on. There's something. If you invest in a mutual, you in one definition are investing, and then other definitions aren't. So, part of being a responsible adult with extra income is putting your savings into the stock market, whether that's like through individual investing, where I think you shouldn't really be doing that unless it's your job, but putting it in an ETF or a mutual fund or IRA, 401k, blah, 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 whatever. That is important, but you're saying that is the stock market. So don't make people afraid of the stock market. You need to be comfortable with the stock market and understand what it is, because it's a huge part of modern financial literacy, and it's an important part of being a responsible adult and having your money and savings grow.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just a fact.
That's fair. Like putting it. I definitely like putting it in like retirement, like in like the stuff you mentioned, like ETF retirement, stuff like that. Like that's not a bad thing. I definitely would say that.
But do you know it's in a retirement? You know it's in a Roth IRA or like a traditional IRA?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the difference, but
because
like
individual stocks or ETFs, so it's.
But
it's
they're safer on average.
No, an IRA is no different than an individual brokerage account, other than the fact that it's not taxed the same.
It's true.
But if it like personally, if it were me, and I like again, I'm saying if it were me, like it would be. I mean, I wouldn't go. I would put in like Amazon or like Apple or something like that.
Yeah, just do blue chips, whatever. Okay, unless you're a certifiable dumbass, nobody's fucking yeeting their IRA into GameStop at $300.
Yeah, people have play money that they would use. I mean, if you have extra money and you wanted to YOLO into GameStop, that's your decision. But it's exactly that. It's their decision.
Okay, this is like getting pretty complicated, or not complicated. It's just like diving into like very far different roots from the trunk of the original thing, which is just the blanket statement. Don't invest in the stock market. I agree. That's a horrible statement.
It was too.
That was my point.
It was too blanketed.
That was my point. Is the stock market is an important part of our economy, kind of, and if you are an adult with the saving and financial means, you need to be educated on it and you need to utilize it.
Anybody with it?
I don't think you necessarily need to. I don't think that's the thing. I don't think you necessarily need to utilize it.
It is like
if you want to utilize it,
irresponsible. No, it is irresponsible to let your money sit in a bank account for the most part. Like, not all. Obviously, you need a decent amount of money in a bank account. I'm saying if you have extra money, you are literally throwing money down the toilet by not investing it.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's technically true, but like, I don't want to make it so that like people have to like it's an extra strain on people. Like you have to go into the like pressuring people into that. Like when they're living their lives and they have to like educate themselves on like the.
What do you mean? We pressure people into saving money. How is that any different?
Because saving money, you just save it. You save it. You don't have to like worry about like what it's doing and like research and education.
We pressure people into like buying the right type of food and stuff.
Maybe the barrier, like
we let people know what to do with their money all the time.
Like the barrier
for entry is literally
the barrier
so
of entry
easy.
Should be.
Oh my
lower.
god, the barrier of entry is a joke. It's literally 10 minutes of fucking online research. If you're a fucking adult, like even like the most overworked person in the entire world has like 5 minutes at the end of the day to watch a YouTube video or like the weekend. Even if you're an investment bank.
I think you're cutting out there.
Yeah, it's growing.
You're cutting out. I did not hear any of that.
SPY is
it's just like an ETF that like it basically it models the use.
Every time you get spare $10, you just put it into SPY. I mean, the barrier to entry is zero. You don't have to have any experience to invest in an ETF. And now that you can buy fractional shares as well, it's literally no barrier to entry.
The barrier to entry is just making a brokerage account, which is like a 5-minute process and then like a 3-day wait period, depending on the brokerage.
But still, I don't think that like.
I think I made a Robinhood account in less than 5 minutes, and I could start investing immediately.
I think it's fair to say though. I think it's fair to say that you should be able to, like, live a like completely like normal, sustainable like life where you have everything covered without like having to invest in the stock market.
That's literally not the reality. No, I guarantee you there's not a single well-off or like even like upper middle class adult who
it's not the reality, but like it should be.
What do you mean it should be? What are you arguing for? I don't understand.
Here's what I'm arguing for. You should make enough in like like an average middle class job that you don't have to.
Let's raise the minimum wage to $200 then.
It doesn't make any
go
sense.
into the stock market.
First of all, people do make enough money. You're just being dumb. Like, you can make enough. People make enough money. The reality of the situation. First of all, there should be a responsibility to save. Second of all,
of course, there should be a responsibility to save. But
it's not. You're just throwing your money down the toilet. What do you mean?
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Metaphorical money.
Maybe you should invest in a stock market, but like, you should be able to also survive if you don't do so. Like, it should be.
Oh my god, that doesn't make any sense.
Social security check.
You can survive. Nobody. I guarantee you, literally nobody in the entire, no millennial in the entire world is surviving based on their Apple dividends.
Every
for
millennial
the month.
no. Not every millennial.
No 30-year-old. I mean, like, nobody is surviving from the dividends in their IRA. First of all, you can't even take that money out because then it gets taxed on like capital gains or whatever. So you have to wait until you're like 60. So that it doesn't even make any sense. It's just future stuff.
I'm talking about like the reverse. Like, you should be able to. I mean, it's definitely in a lot of cases. So it's so like there's ways you can do it where it's a lot like low risk and it's much more beneficial. It makes sense, but like, I mean, I guess it shouldn't be like something that you have to do in order to like not.
Okay.
Wonder in a lot of circumstances.
I mean, that doesn't. I mean, that's literally just an opinion.
No, that's like saying
it is.
Okay,
it is an opinion,
no,
correct.
that is so dumb.
But that's like saying that I should be able to work like at like McDonald's and like live a very like wealthy life. Like,
no, you should be able to enough to like buy reasonable house, like
okay,
not like a full house, like
no.
an apartment.
If you want to be middle
like,
class
a
and
room
you want to,
where you can live to like support yourself, like
I'm not
access to affordable.
No, we're not talking about
things you need to survive. Like with dignity.
Nobody is saying you need
society.
to. You don't need to invest in the stock market to live. It's just saying, like, if you're middle class, investing money in the stock market right now, it's not going to affect your living standard, like, right now. It's just not. It's not going to affect your living standard for like 20 years. It's just a smart way of growing your money for the future. And it's not a necessity thing. It's not a necessity thing. No, but that's what we're saying. What do you mean? You're saying, oh, nobody needs to do this.
If it's
You're right. Nobody needs to exercise, and we can just all die of a heart attack. Like, it's a future thing.
All right. Good point. Good point. We're like literally about to
if you're no. If you're 20 years old, you don't need to work out every single day right now to not die. But it's just fucking dumb to not. That is the thing.
Yeah,
you're volunteering.
I think you're probably right about that, but like
you're just volunteering to have less money in the future.
I'm thinking it shouldn't be like it shouldn't be a necessity thing. But yeah, there's a fair point to say like there are easy ways you can get in the stock market that are.
Are you just trying to wrap it up because it's less than a minute in the Zoom thing?
Yeah, it is very. We are definitely down the wire. All right. Yeah, thank you guys both for coming on. I don't know when this is going to end, but yeah, it's been a fun first episode back. We definitely covered a lot of ground.